Hello, everyone. This is Deborah Rue, and you're listening to or watching Human Potential at Work. I am the CEO of Rue Global Communications, and we are market strategists and market influencers for the community of people with disabilities in the aging market, including people like me, the baby boomers. So today on the show, I'm really excited and a little teeny bit starstruck, but he's been cracking us up all as we started. So we have the very famous world famous Josh Blue, comedian, joining us from the United States, from Minnesota, I believe. Welcome to the program, Josh.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. I like that squirrel on your shirt. It's pretty cool.
Sister made it. So and so
Oh, how fun. That's so fun. Well, welcome to the program.
I am in Denver right now. So just so you know.
You're in Denver. Sorry, I know you were born in Minnesota, so I guess I just made you stay in Minnesota your whole life. So
I
Denver's a really great place to be.
found out there are places you can live that don't try to kill you when you go outside. So,
Yeah. I had a
so
job interview once I was from Florida, and I had a job interview in Minnesota. And when I went there, they said something about plugging your cars in the winter. I was like, what? What do you mean? So
not
I took a job in Virginia.
a good call. Good call.
Yeah, but I love people from Minnesota. So welcome to the program, Josh. I'm a little starstruck, only because I've been following your career for a long time. I watched you and cheered for you on NBC's last Comic Standing, and I was thrilled when you won, but you won because you're so talented. And then your career just seemed to zoom from there. You were saying, I mean, I made little notes. There's so much to talk about with your career. Showtime, Sticky Change, Delete on Hulu and Amazon. You've been on the Late Night Show, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. That just you have a lot of really amazing accolades. So, but tell us more. Tell us, Josh, about you, and I know you're a single father with two amazing children, Simon and Sika, and but we really want to hear from you. So tell us who Josh Blue is.
Well, where do I begin? There's a lot to talk about here. I mean, first of all, I just love being a dad. That's my number one thing that I love in my life, and I've always wanted to be a dad. But to tell the truth, I was never so sure about the husband part. Yeah, you you can't cage this. No, and then I do over 200 shows a year, so I'm traveling all over the world, making people laugh, and I definitely talk about cerebral palsy in my show, but that's not what the show is about. It's just from the perspective of a disabled person. So I talk a lot about, um, just people have such preconceived ideas of disability. People see that my body moves differently, so then they assume that I'm mentally delayed
Right.
or just not able to keep up. When in fact I'm like probably 4 or 5 steps ahead of them, just figuring out how to take their wallet or whatever.
Good one, good one. Yeah, I was watching your recent show on Hulu, and you were cracking me up. I just think you're really funny, and I'm married to a jokester who, I don't always appreciate his humor. He used to be able to make me laugh, and then I got over that, and so probably his life hasn't been as fun. But I think the good sense of humor is a sign of intelligence. So how do you use um, how do you find the material? Because your material is always so fresh. Every single time I see you and I look at you on YouTube, I'm just amazed at it seems how quick you are. So I just love all the different topics that you talk about during your shows.
But to tell the truth, the material usually finds me. Um,
Oh, cool.
I just attract crazy people, and I just attract chaos, and I'm just very fortunate that I'm able to process it in a funny way. Whereas maybe something happens to someone and they don't find it funny. A lot of things that have happened to me could definitely be taken as not funny, but I'm able to see the humor in it, and that's why I'm able to bring it to the stage in a way that not. I mean, I don't know too many people that have my style of humor. I'm
Well,
very
it works. It works.
self-deprecating. I'm very happy to throw myself under the bus for your entertainment.
And we appreciate that, Josh. Thank you for doing that.
Very well.
So tell us about some of the highlights of your career. I mean, once again, millions and millions of us watched you win The Last Standing Comic. And I was just blown away by your talent and how much you made me laugh. So, and you seem your comic abilities seem to reach across all kind of demographics and all kind of cultures. And I know so many people that are fans of your work. So how in the world do you do that instead of just appealing to just a more narrow audience? It's really amazing.
Oh yeah, thanks for saying that. I mean, to me, it's one of those things where I love the fact that my audiences are so diverse, and I feel like the things that I talk about are accessible if you're a human. You don't have to be a certain race or gender or any of that. You see me being real and raw, and like when you say. When I'm on stage and I just tell you these hard truths about my life, people can really identify with that. Like maybe you're not having the same struggle I am, but you're having some struggle in your life some way, and you can see me just looking mine right in the face and not being afraid of it. I think is what works. And as far I mean, I'm not like a blue comic, but I definitely like to swear a bit in my show. Like I look at my show like, the swear words are not the meal, they're the condiment to the meal. So they just add a little flavor. But then I'm always surprised, like when like old ladies will come up and be like, "Kelly, you're just so clean," and I'm like, "Well, I said the F word like 90 times. You just because it just fits in. It's not like a forced in thing. It's just it's a smooth ride that I take you on where you don't even realize that I'm saying those words almost."
And also, I think, Josh, the opportunity that we have is we're not supposed to laugh at people with disabilities. I mean, it's not appropriate, right? And yet every single time I watch your shows, you crack me up, and I don't know why I enjoy the F-bombs. It must be something
Right.
deep inside that should be examined. But I just really, really enjoy your style of humor.
Well, I don't think that people, like you said, you shouldn't laugh at the disability, and I disagree. I think that the disabled community is begging to be acknowledged, and like we want to be acknowledged and want to be made fun of, and not treat us like we're some delicate thing that can't take a criticism. I mean, the most awful things I've ever heard come from disabled people talking about other disabled people to their face. Like we're amongst ourselves, we're pretty harsh, and because we long for that. Like most of my disabled friends are very crass and don't hold back, and that's what I love, and I love bringing that to the stage.
Yeah, and you bring it to the stage really well. I know I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and I worked real hard on her self-esteem and really telling her she's wonderful. And a few months ago, she said, "Mom, I'm just normal." And I'm like, "Oh no, not the normal word. You're going to bring out the normal world." But she's right. I mean, she's just an individual that has the same hopes and dreams and desires as everybody else. And sometimes, she just got out of the hospital. She had a bowel blockage, and a couple of times the pain got real intense. And she would say, one time she said, "Mom, I'm going to have to start cussing." And I said, "Hey, you go for it." And she let some words fly. And the nurses were cracking up when they were coming out. They're like, "Okay, she's cussing. Let's rush and get her some pain medication because she's cussing."
That's amazing too. I just feel like, again, people have such a preconceived idea of disability, and then when your daughter cusses it, the people are like, oh my goodness, she knows those words. Yeah, of course she knows those words. She's a person, and she lives in this world, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. I think, you know, it is hard sometimes for our community to be acknowledged as we're just part of the community. We're just human beings, and we all come in all shapes and sizes and different personalities, and some of us are funny and some of us aren't. But I think sometimes the disability community gets in our own way as well. I don't think that we should slam each other by calling a person retarded or some other words. You know, I think that's, you know, probably not, you know, civil society. But I think there's some kind of balance here.
No, I agree. Well, and I've always had this opinion too that every single person I know is disabled in some way. You know, whether it's visible or not. I mean, we all have hang-ups. We all have things that we're afraid of. I mean, maybe you're afraid of butterflies and that's your disability. You know, like, it just depends on whatever it is. I'm fortunate enough that mine is on the outside, so you can kind of know that, you know, like, oh, there's a tail. Oh, he's disabled, you know. Whereas a lot of other people walk around having these hidden disabilities that make them come across as awkward, or like, oh, that person is really rude, when in fact they have Asperger's or some other anything. There's so many,
Right.
so many.
There is so many. Yeah, we talk about that a lot on the show, about it really is about human potential. You know, we all are human beings. We all have abilities. We all have disabilities. As we live our lives, we acquire disabilities. I know that my husband has acquired a disability as he's aged, and it hasn't changed him. It's just we communicate differently. And if anything, he's sort of made me slow down and communicate with him better than I have in the past. And so I find sometimes these disabilities actually add a quality of life to, you know, parts of my life. They almost make them more rich than less rich.
You gotta slow down and look at things a little differently, you know?
Right,
You gotta,
right.
you ultimately can get to the end goal, but you just take a different path. That's how I look at it, you know?
Right,
And,
I agree.
and I feel like sometimes that's better because you're not just going down the path that everybody else took. You're taking the path less traveled, or the one that nobody knows about, to get to the same product. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
I think so too. So you travel all over the world doing your comedy. How are you accepted in different cultures? Do some cultures stand out more? I mean, I just am a huge fan, and I know so many of my friends are a huge fan of your work. And but I am intrigued about you traveling and taking your talent all over the world.
I've actually come to find that a lot of other places appreciate my humor more than in the States, because they're a little less tied down to politically correct, or you know, a lot of other places embrace disability way more than we do here in the States. I mean, you go to like Holland, and there's, you know, they televise disabled sport, and they have so many more accessible options, and you know, out in the public and all that. I really love playing like other countries. To me, it really um, makes me feel fulfilled in the fact that, like, oh, this message is universal, not just to the people that I know.
And you're right about the US, and very proud American here, but we are very politically correct. And boy, that has gotten us in trouble lately. And we won't go into politics, but we can get in trouble doing that. But I think it really has kicked us in the butt. I think that we should be, kind to each other and nice to each other and everything else. But there's something really beautiful about comedy and the way that we learn from each other. And so I think the political correctness is something that I want to ask you about. I also want to ask you about inspirational porn, which many people with disabilities get very offended. And I find it interesting what some people get offended about, because sometimes I look at a commercial and I think, oh, that's rich, that's strong. And then somebody else will say, no, it's inspirational porn. And sometimes I see stuff that I'm like, no, 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 you shouldn't. That really is inspirational porn. But what do you think about inspirational porn? And once again, diving in a little bit into political correctness.
Well, I'm totally, I mean, the and just eats my soul, really, frankly. It's because, I mean, had a joke about it. I don't know if I can recall the exact wording on it, but like when people are like, oh, you're so inspirational, what I hear is, if I was you, I'd have killed myself, like, but that's true. It's like, oh, look at this poor sap living their life, just trying to survive. And I'm like, no, look at me, I'm thriving. You're taking away from my accomplishments by saying that. Like, I'm not here to inspire you. I'm living my own life. Now, if you want to take inspiration from what I'm doing, that's fine with me. But that's not my goal. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm not here to make you feel better about your shitty life.
Well, and also, I think it's so interesting because I'll go back to the last comic standing. The other comedians didn't have disabilities, but the reason why I, just as one fan, was cheering for you was because I thought you were very talented. I thought you were very funny. I thought I thought it was very rich routines. And so I cheered for you just because I thought you happened to be the funniest comic. There was a lot of talented comics, but I just really liked your style. And I don't know why I like, comics that can throw down the F-bombs, but I just think you're funny. I just really enjoy your comedy. So I was really glad you won. And because of my work, I thought it was cool you had cerebral palsy, but and I like that your tagline is you put cerebral in the cerebral palsy. I love that tagline.
Right. Well, and that's it. Is I'm not just saying the thing that's been said before. I'm talking from a point of view that has very little platform to be heard. So and again, like I said, I feel like a lot of people can relate to my struggles in life and my or I don't look at them as struggles. I just look at things that it's a roadblock. Well, I'm going through that thing, like people like that. And I'm always surprised, like how, people are like I said before, you're so inspirational. I'm like, well, I'm uninspired by you because there's nothing wrong with you. I haven't done anything. Like, right. If I had a workable body, I couldn't imagine all the things I would have accomplished by now, but I also feel like because of my palsy, it's caused me to work that much harder too.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about traveling, being on the road so much, but having two children. So being a father, because I travel not as much as you, but it's sometimes hard on me and on my family.
Sure, it's definitely a problem here and there, but to tell the truth, this is all that my family has ever known. So this is just how our family works. To me, ultimately, when I'm home and I got nothing to do but be dad. So it kind of works out in the other way where when I am home, I'm very engaged and very full on, hands on. I'm a single dad, and I have 50% custody of my kids. So when I'm not on the road, I instantly become dad. So there's very little downtime for old daddy. And let me tell you, my kids don't give a shit what I did the day before. So
that's so true. And so, Josh, I hope this is not an insensitive question. Here it goes. But do you ever have people that are surprised that you have children?
I've had that. I mean, over the
Yeah.
years. I mean,
It's ignorant, but I just imagine. Yeah.
I mean, I look like, I had a joke about that. Like when you see me coming down the street pushing a stroller, when you look in the stroller, you're expecting to see like a bucket of doorknobs and kids in there. You're like, oh my God, that homeless guy got some babies.
Yeah.
I've definitely had a little bit of that over the years where people are a little shocked that I'm a dad. But to me, I'm like, well, there's a lot of other terrible, much worse parents out there than me. I know that much.
I imagine you're a great dad, though.
I love being a dad.
I love being a mother too. And my kids are in their 30s, and they don't always appreciate me mothering them all the time, but I don't care. I love being a mother. So do it. That's what you got.
Right.
So, and well, also I want to make sure that I mention you were a member of the U.S. Paralympic soccer team.
Yeah,
So tell us a little bit about that.
I was on the team for 8 years. Are you there?
There you are again. Yep. We could hear you, but just for a second, yeah, we couldn't see you.
All right, good. Sorry, I said my battery was low, which is never good. Story of my life.
We're getting a little tour of your house. I like your red ceiling. So cool.
Oh, perfect. Let me plug in here.
Okay. Technology does rule our lives. We were talking about that before we started.
Yeah, definitely.
Technology will make you run through your house.
Yeah. Of course. Am I there? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Batteries.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Nothing's ever easy. So, all right. Is that better? All right.
Yes. And we get to see a different view of the house. Thank you.
So I was on the Paralympic team for 8 years. Amazing experience. Traveled all over the world playing a soccer. It's a sport that I love, and also a sport that I never thought I would ever get a chance to play. I mean, a little bit about my soccer history. When I was in junior high school, I tried out for the team. I was the only disabled kid that tried out, and I got cut from the team. And it broke my heart. It utterly devastated me. And looking back, I'm like, why would anybody cut anybody from a team in junior high? Like, just let me come to practice. All I can do is get better. You don't have to play me. Let me just come to practice. Let me learn the game. Even though that was devastating to not make the team, I still love the sport. And I continued to play, and I continued to kick the ball. And when I went to college, I was the kid on campus with the soccer ball. So I would always have a soccer ball at my feet, just dribbling around. And I'd do social experiments where I just like kick the ball to random people walking by and see if I could get them to play, or people would avoid it. And I just like kept on and kept picking at it and just loved it. And then when I graduated from college, I didn't even know about the Paralympics. And I met a woman with cerebral palsy, and she saw me juggling, and she's like, there's a soccer team for you, right? And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, here's the email address of the coach. And I carried his email address with me for like 4 or 5 months. I was too nervous to like email him. And then I started getting into stand-up, and I started getting some success in stand-up, and that gave me the courage to email the coach. And wow. I wrote him and said, my name's Josh Blue. I'm 22 years old. I have cerebral palsy, and I'm a damn good soccer player. And he wrote back, nice to meet you, Josh Blue. We're always looking for damn good soccer players. And 2 weeks later, I was on a plane heading to tryouts in Washington, D.C., and was a member of the team ever since. I was either a starter or the first sub in. So it either says a lot about my skill or they're just a very shallow player pool.
Which I don't think so. I think they're pretty talented. I've seen many of the games and I'm amazed by them. My son played soccer when he was a little kid, and he was more interested in picking flowers and giving them to the little girls on the team that were kicking his butt than he was playing the game. So he's more of an artist. But
I've definitely been caught on the field, like looking up at clouds during the game and stuff. What are you doing, Blue?
So Josh, when did you start using humor to express who you are? When did you start doing that? Did you do it in school? I mean, how do you become Josh?
I guess it definitely started at a young age. Although the way I always say is like, when you're a kid, you don't know that you're funny. You just hang out with your friends, and this is what friends do. You all have a laugh together, and you all, play. And then as I got older, like in high school, I was always I was one of the only 3 physically disabled kids in my able-bodied school. So, but we all like fit in our own way. But I was like the I won't say the class clown, because I could get away with murder, but I would just kind of, I've always had the gift of, when there's like a little pause, I can throw something in there. Like the teacher will say something, and I'll follow it with a little tag, and the whole crowd, I say crowd, but the whole class would laugh, and people, and then I got to college, and people were just like, dude, you're funny all the time, like you nonstop, like everything you say, we're gonna laugh, and then I just sort of got in my head like, oh, maybe I should just try stand up, and I don't know why I got that idea.
Right, because it's a hard job, a stand-up. And I don't know, because I've never done it, but I've listened to so many comics talk about it's really hard. I saw, excuse me, I was listening to Stephen Colbert the other night, and he was talking to Jon Stewart. And when he took over the late night show, I always get the names of the shows mixed up, but he was saying that, he was a little intimidated about having to go up and do stand-up every night and do a monologue every night. And they say that it's really a lot more difficult than it looks. So it's sort of brave of anybody to be a stand-up comic.
And what's really weird is that people always say that it's like such a hard thing to do. To me, it's like the most natural thing I do. I just feel so at ease up there. I don't know why. I don't think I should have a right to be that brave. But I just like, for me, when I'm on stage, I have the mic and I'm in control. And I've always, I don't know why. I'll tell you this. So like in high school, I remember one time I forget, some social studies teacher or something, it looked like he had a hangover and he didn't want to teach class. So he put in a Bill Cosby stand-up. And I know, he's a terrible dude now. But
it's still funny.
I remember watching that as in high school and just going, hey, I could do that. And I don't think very many people look at like a master stand-up comic and just go, oh, I could do that. But
right.
Like, oh, that seems like something I could do. But when you're a kid, you don't know that you can actually go do that.
And then not only did you do it, but you've become one of the most famous comics in the world. I mean, you're up there with all of the other greats. And as I was looking at preparing for the interview, I was looking at Wikipedia and joshblue.com, and I was just amazed at what you've done. Do you mind just telling the audience a little bit about some of your you have so many shows. Like you said, you're doing 200 every year. But
Yeah,
what are some of the highlights of your career for you? What are you the most proud of?
I mean, I'm about to film my 5th hour special this month. So to me, that's like pretty amazing in the fact that like I've written over 5 hours of material. And I mean, I also have such a unique way of doing it. Like I've never written anything down. Like I just go up there
Wow.
and um, just go. It just comes out. So obviously, I know that there's jokes that I'm gonna say in that hour, but I've never written them down, or like the way I do it is I'll say it one night, and if it works good, I can always make it better the next night, and then I just keep adding and keep adding and keep adding and keep adding, and eventually it just builds up to an hour, and then that's when I film my next special. I'm like, okay, well, I gotta get rid of these jokes before I get sick of them, sick of saying them, and then the process starts again, or the process actually never stops because, like I said, I'm about to film my special this month, and I'm still adding new things to this and just continually evolving. Um, I don't think I answered your question. I don't even remember what it
No,
was.
you did. No, you did answer the question because I think it's amazing that you've had shows on Showtime and Hulu and Amazon Prime. And
Right.
I don't know if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn that I saw something on HBO. But I then when I
Was it?
went back to look, I thought, well, maybe I'm not remembering that
No, I
correctly.
don't think I've ever been on HBO, but like I've been on. I mean, you name it, I've probably been on there. Comedy Central, Showtime, Netflix.
Right.
You know, I was the first stand-up to do comedy on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Yes. Yes.
That
I
was,
saw that one. Oh, it was so good. It was so
that's one
good,
of
Josh.
that's one of those ones for me where it's like, wow, what an honor. I'm a huge fan of Ellen, and the fact that she
Me too.
picked me to to be the first stand-up on there, really, what a cool honor. I'll tell you a funny story about when I was on the show. So when I was about to meet Ellen, I'm in my head, I'm going, okay, don't quote any of her material to her like a dummy. Like, oh, I love you, I love you. And then I did my stand up and we sit on the couch. I sat down with her, and then during the commercial break, she leans over. She goes, "I love when you do that one bit where you do the thing." So she did it to me, and I was like, "Yes!" Like Ellen likes. Wow, that's so cool.
It
Um,
is so cool. It is so cool. It's, and I think humor makes us healthier. So I
oh,
think it breaks
definitely.
down barriers. I just think it's so important.
Well, the thing is too about humor is like anywhere you go, in general, people look pretty glum. People don't,
Yes.
and I'm having a laugh everywhere I go. I'm standing in line having a laugh. I'm doing this. I'm at the grocery store just laughing, and people look at me like I'm a lunatic, but I'm just having fun.
Right.
Whereas everyone else is walking around going, "Oh, I
I
gotta
know.
buy avocados."
Yeah, people do look really, really sad these days, especially in the US. God bless us.
Yeah.
There's seems to be a lot of intensity of feelings, but that's why your work is so appreciated. So,
There's a
Josh, I know, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say just a couple more things about like accomplishments that I
Yes.
really cherish. Um, 10 years after I graduated from my college, they had me come back to be their keynote for the
Oh,
graduation,
wow.
and it
Wow.
was like 20,000 people, and I mean people were rolling in the aisles, and I felt like it was a really cool because it wasn't stand up. I actually wrote a speech for it, but it was still like you know laugh a minute sort of thing, and to me it was just such a cool honor that the place that I started doing stand up invited me back to honor me and have me do that. So that was really cool. And then another part that is really exciting for me is like I get to work with all these mega stand-up stars. Like I've done over 50 shows with Dave Chappelle, and
Wow.
I can say that he's a friend of mine, and he respects my work and asks for me by name to open for him, and like when I'm working with people like that, it's just like, oh my God, because I don't see myself on a level with those people. I don't know why. It's weird. Like,
I do though. I do, Josh.
Well, it's
I
weird
think you're
because
at the very top.
so many people say that, and I'm like, I don't see it. But and then I'll like look at a wall at a comedy club, and there'll be like 20 legendary comics, and my face is right there with them. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Oh, that is so cool. So
Cool.
Josh, what would you have to say to any young people with disabilities, or really people with disabilities that are watching the show, that they haven't found their niche in life? They haven't found their purpose. I mean, and maybe people are telling them, because they are, that they can't do it, or they're not good enough, or, well, if you were more normal, or the crap that we send to people.
I definitely know. I definitely had some of that along the way.
Mhm.
I always just feel bad when people get hung up on what other people think of them. Because to me,
Yeah.
it's like I'm on social media, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all that. And I mean, I'll say I get at least two messages a day, personal messages from disabled people, like saying, oh, how do you gain your confidence, and how are you so able to do that? I'm like, because I just don't give a shit about other people's feeling. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you think you see my body and you go, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, well, watch this. I'm gonna not only do it, but I'll do it better than you could ever do it. And that's the thing. I always say, oh, I could do what you do. I'm like, well, the difference is I've already done it.
Right, right, and done it really well. So
Right.
you've set the bar high for all comedians.
Right, and to the disabled community, it's just like I just get so sad when people let others determine their life path. I want to be a painter, but I'm afraid what people think. Well, who gives a shit? Paint. If you want to paint, paint.
Right. I agree.
Build yourself and go, oh, I'm glad I painted that, or I hated it and I don't want to do this anymore. But at least you know now, right? And
I agree.
And that's the thing too, is like, I always said this about myself. Like, I never knew I was disabled till other people told me.
Yes.
So I was just doing my life. I'm just a kid playing with other kids, doing other things. And then people started saying, oh, you can't do that because you're this way. I'm like, well, I just did
it. Better than you, by the way.
Right. Like, why can't I do this? So to the disabled community, I just say you gotta shrug off that shit. I know it's easier said than done, but again, if someone's judging you because of the way you move, you don't even need that person in your life. Why give them a one brain cell worth of your effort? And again, easier said than done, but the truth is, ultimately, life is too short to care what people think about you. I mean, don't be an ass. But
I agree. I've read multiple times that what somebody else thinks about you isn't your business.
Right.
Because
that's you know what I mean? That's there.
Yep. I agree. And you will waste your life worrying about what other people think about you. So, Josh, I know I've kept you a long time, and I'm just so honored that you'd be on the show, only because I'm such a fan. Sorry, but I really am such a fan. But to tell us what's next, and also tell us how to find you on social media and your URL.
Sure. Like I said, I'm filming my next special this month. Hopefully, it will be out somewhere. The way you do it nowadays is you film it and then you shop it around. So hopefully, we'll see it on a big platform. If not Netflix, then it'll be on Amazon and all that. I'm all over social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm almost to a million followers, which would be awesome.
Yay.
That's just Josh Blue Comedy. That's how you find me. and it's the same for Instagram and Twitter. It's all just Josh Blue Comedy. And then my website's just joshblue.com, and that's where all my tour dates are. That's where you can book me. And I also do answer all my own messages. So if you message me on Facebook, I message back. So because I feel like that's important, to let the like you say, there's so many disabled folks out there that are being held back, and I give everybody a chance to ask me a question, and let me help you through your struggle of trying to navigate through this stupid world.
I agree. And we talk so much on this show about deciding that some people are less than other people because you love the wrong person, you have the wrong color skin, you have a disability, whatever. Stop it. We're all human beings having a human experience. Why don't we have a little fun along the way? So I'm so honored to have you on the show. I know I brought up HBO. So HBO, you need to pick up the special. And any corporate brands that want to work with Josh, let's support his work. Let's support his work as a community, as corporate brands. Josh is a very talented man. And so I'm so honored to have you on the show. And now I love you so much more than I did before. I always loved your work anyway. And now, dang it, I'm a stalker fan now. So.
Well, I appreciate you doing this and getting the message out there. People are people,
People are people, for God's sake, so, but I do love the role that you play, Josh, because you just have broken down so many barriers, and I don't think you're finished doing that. So thank you. I will continue to follow your work, and I just am grateful for your work because you make me laugh, and I think that's very important in this day and age. So Josh, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Have a great week.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye.